at Literacy Pittsburgh. So I see a few familiar faces, Ed, Michelle from recent trainings. I took over this position from Roberta when she retired this summer. So some of you may have gone through the training with Roberta, in which case it's nice to meet you and thank you for coming to my presentation. So I'm going to share the screen in just a minute here. I'll also mention thank you to our co-host Laurel Kane, who's the program coordinator for the Pittsburgh West region. She'll be keeping an eye on the chat if you have any questions. I do plan to pause about a third of the way through to take some questions there, and then again at the end. Feel free to, unmute and ask a question or put anything in the chat whenever you feel like it, but I do plan to take questions partway through and then again at the end. So I will share my screen here. Okay, is everybody able to see the slide here using the color vowel chart to teach phonics? Okay, so let me back up. Okay, so today I'm going to be introduced to help teach phonics to your students called the Color Vowel Chart. And I'm going to talk first about where you can find it, how it works, who can use it, etc. So first, where to find the Color Vowel Chart. So the Color Vowel Chart is a visual organizer of spoken English that was created by Karen Taylor and Shirley Thompson in 1999. You can visit their official site here, colorvowel.com. You can see they had a conference in late September, so I attended some of those sessions. So some of what I'm going to be sharing with you, I learned from their conference there. And they also have, things you can purchase to use, courses you can take. But they also have made an online version available for teachers through the US State Department's American English Resource Center here. And that's how I first started to use the chart. And you can see if you go to that page and scroll down, it has a larger interactive version and then some resources on the side about how to use it. So some of the information I'll be sharing today comes from there as well, and you can access it. And I'm going to just show you quickly uh, how it works. So you can see for the chart, each one consists of a rhyming word that emphasizes a particular vowel sound. And for this version, you can actually click on it
red dress.
and hear the sound, right? Is that sound coming through for people?
A, gray day. Ooh, blue moon.
Okay, so the idea is for each, let's see. Okay, so for each vowel sound, there's a rhyming pair beginning with a color, and these can provide categories to talk about the vowel sounds of English. So um, again, where to find it, you can go to this Department of Education site, or you can go to the official Color Vowel site. And again, Karen Taylor and Shirley Thompson are the authors, and they have copyrighted it, but they do make it available for educational purposes. So next, I'm going to talk a little bit about why it's useful. So it's useful because vowels are confusing in English, right? If you look here, we have the same vowel combination EA in these three words, and the consonants are not that different from one to the next, but we get beak, break, and bread. So same letters, three different sounds. Beak, break, bread. E, A, E. On the other hand, sometimes we have different vowels that make the same sound. So on the right, we have bear, bear, lair. but three different letters, A, E, A, I, one sound. Other examples on the left here of same letters with different sounds. O can be do, not, don't. Do, not, don't. One letter, three sounds. And then on the right, C's, B's, please. C's, B's, please. Three different letter combinations, but the same sound. Okay? So this makes it confusing to talk about and teach about vowel sounds. Um, we have five vowels, letters, but there's actually 15 vowel sounds in spoken English. And that's a kind of average of taking into account different accents. Some people may have more vowel sounds that they use, and some people may have fewer. And I'll talk more about that a little bit further on. But you can see how this is confusing when we have five letters with 15 different sounds, plus or minus. And so, how can we and our English language learners tell the sounds apart? So, one solution that people have tried is the IPA. Anybody know what IPA stands for? Maybe you might guess India Pale Ale. Not in this case. In this case, International Phonetic Alphabet. So the International Phonetic Alphabet assigns one symbol or character for each sound that appears in any spoken language. So you can see it looks like this, International Phonetic Alphabet. So sometimes it's used in dictionaries to provide pronunciation guides. And um, it eliminates the problem of having one symbol represent more than one sound. So that is a way to clarify the different vowel sounds. But if we take a look at our examples from earlier, is it any less confusing? Here you can see that the same vowel sound, bear, bear, lair, C's, B's, please, and the different vowel sounds on the left. But it's a whole nother set of symbols that we would have to teach ourselves and then teach our students. So, in terms of simplifying things or making things less confusing, it doesn't really work so well, especially with English language learners. So, that's where the color vowel chart comes in. It provides a multi sensory approach. You have the colors, the sounds. It's based on speaking, not on spelling. So we don't want to be talking about different spelling rules. You'll notice that some of the color categories, again, the same sound is spelled in more than one way, which is great because it gives learners that information that same sounds can be spelled in more than one way. But you don't necessarily want to focus on the spelling, you want to focus on the speaking and the talking. And over time, some of those spelling patterns may become more clear. But the most important thing is that it creates mental categories for these 15 vowel sounds that once you and your student kind of learn it, you can use as a shorthand. And it's more clear than things like long A, short A um, for people who are learning the language. And also, I find for us as well as native speakers. So let's take a look here. We have on the left our same letter, different sound examples. On the right, same sound, different letter. We'll start on the right since it's a little easier. C's, B's, please. All right, and you can just put it in the chat or shout out if you think you know which color category would you put these three words in. C's, B's, please. C's, B's, please. What color category is that vowel?
Green tea.
Very good. Green tea. C's, B's, please. Green tea. Okay. Now, if we look over on the left, each one will be a different category because even though it's one letter, O, we have three different sounds. So first one, do, do. What category is do?
Blue moon.
Blue moon, good. And what about not? Not.
Olive sock.
Olive sock and don't. Don't.
Rose coat.
Rose coat, very good. Okay, so having these color categories to refer to can help you clarify in your mind what vowel sound you're hearing and also help your students. So let's try it. What color is your name? And again, you can put it in the chat or just speak it out. But for example, my name, Jeff, would be red dress Jeff. My full name is Jeffrey. Jeffrey would still be red dress Jeff because Jeff receives the stress or the emphasis. It's not Jeffrey. Jeffrey would be green tea Jeffrey, but red dress Jeffrey. All right. So if you have a multi-syllable name, still just one color for the syllable that's emphasized. So let's see, Bernard, red dress Peg, Peg Ilson. Oh, Peg, nice to see you here. Red dress Peg. So Bernard, I would say, is also a red dress, but and then it's moves towards that R sound. Okay. Anyone else want to try their name? Okay. Red dress Emily. Yes, a lot of red dresses today. Popular color. Okay, so and let's see, one more in the chat. Auburn dog Laura. Auburn dog Laura, yes. Auburn dog down here on the right. Also, our co-host Laurel would be Auburn dog Laurel. Okay, so remember, one of the main points that we're trying to emphasize here is that it's a multi-sensory approach and it's based on speaking and it's creating these categories to refer to which sounds count as the same sound and which ones are different. Okay. And let's see. So white tie Mike. Yep, white tie Mike. Connie. Connie could be perhaps, I wouldn't think brown cow would be County. I would say Connie would probably be Auburn dog Connie or olive sock Connie, depending on how you pronounce it. Joyce would be over here, turquoise toy Joyce. Turquoise toy Joyce. Okay. Um, what else have we got? Auburn dog Marjorie. Ma. I would say Marjorie could possibly be black cat somewhere down here on the bottom. One thing you'll notice since it's come up with Marjorie and Bernard, um, I so Joanne, black cat Joanne, yes. If it were Joan would be what would Joan be? Oh, rose coat Joan. But Joanne, black cat Joanne. So most people in Pittsburgh say Laura as rhyming with door. So that might be here with wood and hook. And again, we have this issue coming up with the R. So I'll talk about that. Um, you can see at the top very faintly, you have the Y on the left, the R in the middle, and the W on the right. And sometimes you might have been taught like Y and W are semivowels because they affect the way that vowels sound. So often when there's an R after a vowel, it sort of affects the sound and it moves from where it starts towards that R sound. So like door sort of starts with wood, door, right? Or I mentioned before, Bernard, starts here and moves towards the R. Others, like turquoise toy or white tie, might move towards the Y or the W. So we're going to talk a little bit more about moving vowels coming up. But you can see here For today, I wanted to talk about where to find it and why it's useful. And we're going to move on to talk about how it's organized and who can use it in the second part of our talk here. But I just wanted to stop for a moment at this point and see if anyone has any questions about how the chart can be useful to talk about vowels, because that's sort of the fundamental um, key to using it. So everybody following so far? Concept makes sense? Any questions at this point? All right, super. Then let's continue here. Okay, so next we're going to look at how the chart is organized and who can use it. Okay, who can use it and how you can use it. Okay, so how it's organized, you don't need to unmute your microphone. You can if you'd like. You don't have to. But I would like you to practice at home saying the words with me and paying attention to what your mouth does. So here we have green tea, blue moon, green tea, blue moon, green tea, blue moon. What do you notice is the difference between what your mouth is doing with green tea and blue moon?
Ooh. The green tea is at the front and the blue moon is at the back.
Yeah, so the green
Tongue
tea,
and lips.
yes, good. So the green tea linguist would refer to as a front vowel. Your tongue is near the front of your mouth, and also you're smiling. Your mouth is wide like a smile. Green tea, right?
Green,
Blue
green,
moon, your
blue.
lips are circled like you're whistling, and you can feel your tongue is more in the back of your mouth. Blue moon, green tea. Okay, now let's look at this next pair. So green tea, black cat. Green tea, black cat. Green tea, black cat. Anyone notice what difference between your mouth shape between green tea and black cat?
Mouth is more smile for green tea and kind of more oval for black cat.
Yeah, so green tea, smiling, your lips are wide and your chin is high. Black cat, your chin goes lower. So it is more of an oval. It's still a front vowel, but it's more open. And same thing on the right. Blue moon, auburn dog. Blue moon, auburn dog. Blue moon, auburn dog. Here they're both in the back. Your lips are rounded, but again, at the bottom, your chin, auburn dog, your chin is coming down farther, opening wider. Blue moon, your chin kind of stays up close. Um, so you can see the four corners of the chart, so to speak. Green tea, blue moon, green tea, wide mouth, blue moon, rounded lips. But in both cases, your chin doesn't go down very far. Black cat, auburn dog at the bottom, your chin opens or your mouth opens much wider. So that's sort of mapping out the vowel space generally. So these on the left have that wide smiling lips. And as you go down, your chin opens further. On the right, circled whistling lips. And as you go down, your chin opens further. And these here are sort of in the middle. And a cup of mustard is sort of the most neutral. You might have learned in school the term schwa, a cup of mustard, the schwa. That's sort of just the neutral vowel sound. Like when we're talking quickly, instead of I want a piece of paper, we say I want a piece of paper. I want a. Okay, schwa is in the middle here, a cup of mustard. So that's the general shape of the chart. And then there's this difference between moving vowels and non-moving vowels. I touched on that briefly earlier. We'll look a little more closely now. You can see on the left, we have that IPA, that International Phonetic Alphabet Symbols, and the colors. Much more easier for you and your students to learn the colors than to learn these symbols here. Okay, so we'll look first at the moving vowels. So I blocked out all of the non-moving ones. We'll look at them in a moment. But these are moving vowels, and white tie and turquoise toy sort of have the most movement. So white tie, you're starting down here with your chin low like black cat and going all the way up to green tea, right? White tie, white tie. We have Mike here today, white tie Mike, right? Turquoise toy, similar, like Joyce, turquoise toy Joyce, okay? Your chin starts low and goes up. These others are also moving, but with a little bit less movement. So gray, gray, gray day, a little bit of movement there, right? Similar with rose coat, oh, rose, brown cow, ow, okay? Non-moving vowels, so now I whited out all of the moving vowels. If we look at non-moving vowels, these are ones where the vowel just stays steady for the whole sound. So, red dress, red dress. Do you hear the difference there between red dress, and a gray day, right? Red dress, olive sock, silver pin, wooden hook, etc. So these vowels are not moving. These vowels have some movement in them. And then again, any vowel, if it's followed by a Y or an R or a W, tends to move in that direction, either towards the top left, the top middle, or the top right, if it's followed by one of those letters. Okay. So now, who can use the chart? Well, first of all, I like to use, in our lesson plans and in our training at Literacy Pittsburgh, we often talk about I do, we do, you do. So who can use it? I can, we can, you can. And here by I can, I mean tutors can, we can, tutors and students together can, and you can, English learners that we're teaching you, okay, can do on their own. So start with ourselves. So I mentioned that this chart helps to create mental categories for the 15 vowel sounds of spoken English. That's not just for people who are learning English, that's also for native speakers too. We have these categories subconsciously available to us that we use when speaking, but we might not have really learned how to talk about them, or which ones are moving vowels and which ones are still vowels. So becoming more aware of that can help you. Basically, you sort of need to understand it yourself before you can share it with your students. And it can help you sort of clarify maybe if there's sounds that you sometimes have trouble with, or if you have a particular accent. I'll give an example of how the chart helped me understand something that's a little bit different about the way I speak. So, there we go. So I often have trouble hearing the difference between the silver pin sound and the red dress sound. So I sew with a pen, I write with a pen. Those two words sound the same to me. I go to the gym. Oh no, I left my gym in my gym locker. Those two words sound the same to me. To a lot of people, silver pin, red dress, pin, pen, gym, gem is the way most people would pronounce those. For me, I've always had trouble hearing the difference between those two sounds. And I think, especially when there's like an N or an M after it. And I realized from learning a little bit about the chart, the reason why is because these vowels tend to move around instead of stay still. And I think it's because my mom has a Southern accent. And Southern accents, they tend to move around over here a little bit more. So even though I didn't pick up the full accent, my mom is from the South. My dad is not from the South. I grew up in Florida, where there's people from the South and not from the South. So I didn't end up with a full-on Southern accent, but these sounds are a little bit difficult for me. And I realize it's the way my mom says them. It's a pian, gm. There's that movement in sounds that for a lot of people are these still sounds. And another example, when my mom is very enthusiastically agreeing with you about something, instead of red dress, yes, it's more like, yes, yes. It's almost two syllables. And it goes up and comes back down. Yes. Okay. So in Southern accents, vowels tend to move. And that's affected my ability to hear the difference between these two sounds sometimes. On the other hand, if you are from Pittsburgh and grew up with the accent here, what color is downtown? Downtown. I would say downtown is brown cow downtown, but some people might say olive sock downtown or auburn dog downtown, a little bit different. And I've noticed it seems that in Pittsburgh, sort of the opposite of with a Southern accent, the vowels don't like to move. So instead of this moving brown cow, you have more of a non-moving downtown, 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 right? Um, you can also see another example. We have a big game coming up tomorrow against the Colts. Who's going to win? Here we go. Steelers. Is it green tea Steelers or silver pen Stillers? Green tea Steelers or silver pen Stillers? Some people in Pittsburgh pronounce it with that non-moving silver pen instead of that moving sound, green tea Steelers, Stillers, okay? So I just wanted to make these points that this can help you become more conscious of the categories that you have and how you use them. And I also wanted to say that, you know, I'm trying to bring a little bit of entertainment talking about accents, but I'm in no way implying that any accent is better or worse than any other, or that it has any relation to speaking English well or not. My mom was, in fact, an English teacher in Alabama, and she still corrects me on my grammar, and she's very articulate and intelligent. She just has an accent. Everybody has some kind of an accent. And that's okay. If you don't hear all the categories, that's okay. This is meant to be a descriptive tool, not a normative rule. What I mean by that is this is a way to describe a kind of average American accent without highlighting one accent or another, but just create a way to talk about generally how Americans speak English. It's not meant to say there's one particular correct way to speak English. It's just to help you be more aware and help your students be more aware of the sounds and their relationship to one another. So don't try to change your pronunciation. Teach the way that you talk. Your students will have opportunities to hear many different accents. You don't want to be speaking one way when you're teaching vocabulary and dialogues and working with your student, and then change the way you pronounce things based on something in this chart when you go to teach the pronunciation. So it looks like there's a couple things in the chat here. Yes. Color is color. Okay, so color moves over to this red dress color. Yes, and it's important to understand the learner's accent since they might not have the same intuitions of rhyming as you do. And rhyming is key to identifying vowels. Yes, so you can see here, the fact that there are these rhyming pairs helps to focus your learner's attention on which sound is the same. And again, it's fine for learners to have an accent. You just want words that are in the same category to be pronounced the same way. That's just having an accent. If you're pronouncing a word a different way, then that's a mispronunciation, if that makes sense. Okay. Oh, what is the shape of the color tiles telling us? So it's meant to sort of mimic it's based on this linguistic concept of the vowel space, which is sort of meant to show so again, green tea is the front of your mouth and your lips up high, auburn dog, the back of your mouth with your chin down low. So the way your mouth moves is sort of schematically behind the shape of it. And you can see, so this one I took from the website where it's the interactive one, and they've actually kind of squared off the edges more. The chart, if you go to Karen Taylor's page, Color Vowel, the original chart, it's a little more curved edges and rounded. The main thing is that vowels, colors next to one another are the difference between the shape of your mouth is less. They're more close to one another, so to speak. And ones that are not next to one another are going to have a bigger contrast from one another. And again, this side goes towards that E, the Y sound, that E with the wide smiling lips. This side, they're moving towards that ooh with the rounded lips, and the middle part is sort of halfway between the two. Okay. Oh, and it looks like one more in the chat. Okay, so again, the ones with R, so R affects the sound of vowels that come before it. So they move the vowels a little bit. So for example, ear, we would say starts in green T and then moves towards R. Ear, okay? Air, A starts in gray day, but moves towards R. Air. So anytime there's an R, it's going to start in one vowel category and then move towards the R, move to purple. Yeah, so this, if I change my share for a second here. So if you go to this page here, americanenglish.state.gov, this one,
Silver
when you
pin.
click on the tile, you hear it.
Ah, a cup of mustard.
Are people able to hear that over the share?
Ah, olive sock. Ah, black cat. Oi, turquoise toy.
Okay. Okay, great. So this page is great because you can use it and your students can use it to practice.
Can you say the name of the website again?
So it's here, americanenglish.state.gov /resources/color vowel chart. I'll also just add that into the chat for you. Here. Okay. I will say, as with all things federal government funded, yesterday it was giving me problems and wasn't working. Today it seems to be working fine. I've had that in the past where it seems like it, some days are better than others. Okay, so how to use this with a student, we will be getting to that in just a moment. So let me get back to the PowerPoint. Okay, so, oh, and one more thing about don't change your pronunciation, teach the way you talk. And if something, so for me, I mentioned before, silver pin and red dress, that's not an easy category for me to hear. So just do, as we say, the think aloud. We talk about this in the training with teaching reading. Sometimes stop and say, I'm not sure I understand this. Let me come back to it. Same thing here. So for me, sentence, this one has these silver pen red dress sounds. It's difficult to me. So I just say with my student, well, let's say it. Does it sound like silver pin sentence, red dress sentence? And I'll say these sounds are sometimes sound the same to me. Let's practice. So just practicing with them to figure out which sound category it goes in to show them how to figure it out themselves. Okay, so that was the I can part, helping you to understand how the chart works. So now we can. How can we use it with our students together? Ways we can use the color vowels with English learners. Um, so first of all, it's meant to help students listen to how something is pronounced and not be misled by the spelling. So again, we're not talking about spelling rules or vowel combinations. It's just to listen to the sound and see which sound category it goes into. So with beginners, I would say maybe introduce 3 or 4 contrasting sounds in a short lesson. So like today I started, we looked at green tea, blue moon, black cat, auburn dog. Uh, you're not going to want to go through all 15 of them the first time you introduce this chart. And you also don't need to explain, I think it's helpful as a tutor to know the shape of it and, that some vowels are moving and some vowels are non-moving. But for a beginner student, you just want to use it to categorize sounds. So introduce 3 or 4 the first time. And again, you want to do sounds that are far apart on the chart because they're going to have more of a contrast. You wouldn't want to start out introducing silver pin, gray day, red dress, which are all right next to one another. So you would start out maybe teaching 4 and only spend, 10 minutes on it. And then the next lesson, maybe add 3 or 4 more until they're familiar with the sounds. And it might not be clear what you're doing the first time, but people will pick it up just as you use it and practice different sounds, practice your name, etc. So then once you have introduced all the categories, you can practice pronunciation using minimal pairs. So for example, here, green tea sleep, green tea sleep, silver pen slip, silver pen slip. What's he doing? He's sleeping. What's she doing? She's slipping. Green tea sleep, silver pen slip. Something like that. Or you can practice classifying words by color, can be another way to practice vocabulary as well as pronunciation. So we talk about how we need a lot of repetition for vocabulary, but repetition can get a little bit boring. So say, okay, now let's take all the new words and see which color they are. Or you could say, what are all the blue moon words you can remember? Or what are all the black cat words you know? So it can be a way to get more of that vocabulary repetition in there as well as the pronunciation. Right? So recall activity, what are all the gray day words you remember? Or can you think of one word from every color category? Something like that. So then it's also very useful to teach syllable stress in longer words and phrases. So some of you might remember from the introductory training when we talk about the mother who was telling people her children went to a lemon tree school, which sounds like a school for lemon trees. But what she meant to say was elementary school, a lemon tree school, elementary school. Here, it's the same sound, red dress, lem, red dress men, but where you put the stress makes a difference in whether you can be understood. So that's why when we were practicing with the names, if your name is more than one syllable, the color is the syllable that's stressed. So that's not only teaching the pronunciation, it's teaching to find the stressed syllable in a word, which is one of the most important things to being understood when you're speaking English. If you mispronounce all of the other syllables, but pronounce the stressed syllable with the correct vowel, you'll probably be understood. In fact, the non-stressed syllables, native speakers tend to just kind of rush through without enunciating clearly anyway. So you can use it to not only improve vowel sound pronunciation, but also syllable stress, which is one of the most important things for speakers to be understood when they communicate. So an example again, we have, what are you doing? Who's listening? Why aren't you listening? The answer to all three questions is the same, but the stress is different. What are you doing? I'm listening. Who's listening? I'm listening. Why aren't you listening? I am listening. Okay. So in the first sentence, I'm listening, silver pin listening. And the second sentence, white tie, I'm listening. And the third sentence, black cat, I am listening. Okay. So this, you want to use it to help hear and produce vowel sounds, and also use it to identify stress and emphasis. Another example here, we have three words: photograph, photographer, photographic, photograph, photographer, photographic. But the first one, photograph, the stress is on the first syllable. Photographer, the stress is in the second. Photographic in the third. And each one is a different sound. So rose coat, photograph. Olive sock, photographer. Rose coat, photograph. Olive sock, photographer. And then black cat, photographic. Black cat, photographic. Okay. So you can also use it to focus on stress and dialogue practice. So here, nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Green tea, nice to meet you. I'm a student. Blue moon student. I'm a student. I'm a student. Or gray day later. See you later. See you later. Gray day later. Also, irregular verbs. I read a book every month. I just read The Scarlet Letter. Green tea, read. Red dress, read. Here, exact same spelling, but meaning is very different. And for many irregular verbs, it's the vowel that changes, right? So I run a mile every day. Yesterday, I ran 2. All right. A cup of mustard, run. A cup of mustard, run. I run a mile every day. Black cat, ran. Yesterday I ran 2 miles. Okay. So those are some ways that you can use it with students together, practicing vocabulary, practicing dialogues, practicing stress and emphasis, irregular verbs. All of those you can incorporate a sort of shorthand reference once your student is familiar with it, to let them know which sounds to focus on. So then once your students understand this sort of category system, they can use it to ask you questions more easily. So for example, pile, if you have students whose first language is Spanish or French, often this I sound, when they see I, they tend to pronounce more like E, right? So is pile white or green? White tie pile, green tea peel. We were reading something the other day, and my student was saying, "Oh, she drops off a peel of clothes at the dry cleaner." Pile. Okay, so students, if they aren't sure, it's a way that they can ask you. Also, you can give them the link that I put in the chat there to the interactive one so they can practice on their own at home, just clicking on it on their laptop or smartphone. Another example is birthday, purple or gray. So here the question is about the emphasis, right? Because birth, purple shirt, birth, gray day, day. So which one is emphasized? Is it birthday or birthday, right? So is birthday purple or gray? It's purple, birthday, purple, purple shirt, birthday. And here, just what color is refrigerator for a longer word? So that could be both a question about both pronunciation and stress. So silver pin refrigerator, or just say fridge. All right. So English learners can focus better on hearing the sound categories and stress patterns once they know the phonemic categories, right? Once they know what categories are used in English. Because a lot of times with pronunciation, not hearing the difference is what leads to not being able to pronounce the sound. The first step is being able to hear and distinguish the sounds, and the color vowel chart really helps you and your learners to do that. All right, so being able to hear these differences is the first step to being able to speak them. Okay, and it looks like in the chat. Right. Okay. In compound words like birthday, both syllables get equal stress. I would say birthday, I tend to put the stress on the first syllable, birthday, um, rather than birthday. Maybe it's a little bit closer in that one, but I still think in a sentence, happy birthday. Not sure there. Okay. Again, that's one that you could do as a think aloud with your student, talk it through. Which sounds right to you? Is it birthday or birthday, etc.? Okay. So again, the main takeaway, I think, is that it's this multisensory approach. We talk about how people are much more likely to recall what they learn when there's multisensory input. So the colors, the sound, the rhyming, the actually kind of putting words into categories, which you can do actually physically with flashcards or pictures if you like to. It's based on speaking, not on spelling. So hearing and producing the sounds, not spelling the words. And it creates these mental categories and a way to talk about them for both you and your student to communicate more easily about pronunciation. And again, Karen Taylor and Shirley Thompson are the authors or creators of the Color Vowel Chart. And if you go to colorvowel.com, they have a lot of information. They have some videos. They also have things that for purchase. So there's courses you can take, and there's classroom props that you can purchase if you would like to. But as I said, I've always just used this one from the State Department website with the interactive one. And once your students get the categories, it's really just a way to talk about them. So you don't need the whole giant Crayola 64 crayon box with the sharpener in the back and writing each word in the color that it appears in. That can be a little bit helpful at the beginning, but once the categories are clear, it's really the sound that's important, not the color. And again, this is the website where you can access the interactive tool, and you can also find more information in PDFs available about how to use it, how to introduce it in your classroom. Some of which I shared with you today, some of which you can find more information there. So I hope that you found the color chart useful. as a tool to use with your students. And thank you for coming to the session today at the Literacy Pittsburgh 2025 Tutor Conference. We have about 10 minutes for questions.